Finally, the Uvalde police chief, gone. Only took months for this to happen. Let me go to the sentiment of a child, what a child said about the danger the gunmen and the police put them through. Here it is.
I'm here today to make a statement. If a law enforcement's job is to protect and serve, why didn't they protect and serve my friends and teachers on May 24th? I have messages for Pete Arredondo and all the law enforcement that were there that day. Turn in your badge and step down. You don't deserve to wear one.
Yeah, that child is correct. Let's put up the picture of the police chief who failed in his leadership to serve the children and the parents of that community. Peter Arredondo, the Uvalde School District Police Chief, was fired yesterday after multiple investigations into the failures of law enforcement during the mass shooting at Robb Elementary and months of outrage from the community. Now, I got to remind everyone, we're months down the road here, okay? We're months down the road. It was evident during the first week that there was a failure of tactical command and leadership from the Uvalde Police Department. 2 weeks, you literally had individuals who were supportive of the Uvalde police produce actual investigative summaries that showed their lack of appropriate response. 3 weeks into or after that mass killing, we then had video evidence that showed the police officers not doing their job. And the list goes on and on. There were lies exposed, false police reports created. The chief of police himself refused to answer questions or go before city council and face the public that pays him money. He then came out with a ridiculous excuse and said he did not believe that he was actually in command when there was a school shooting. The irony of that statement is the fact that the city has an active shooter protocol where he, Arredondo, would be in charge. He can't claim he didn't know about this active shooter protocol that would make him the person in charge because he co-wrote the damn thing. Wednesday was the 3-month anniversary of one of the worst school shootings in US history. It left 19 students and 2 teachers dead. Since then, the law enforcement response has been described as an abject failure. And surveillance footage has shown how officers waited 77 minutes in a school hallway to confront the shooter, who was in an unlocked classroom. As the chief of the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District's Police Department, Arredondo was supposed to take command, take control. He was the incident commander, per an active shooter policy that he helped write. But on May 24th, this particular leader in law enforcement, this police chief, Arredondo, did not consider himself to be in charge. He did not consider himself to be in charge of the massive police response. He later said an investigation by Texas legislators was sharply critical of Arredondo and the vote of leadership among the almost 400 officers at the scene. The school district on June 22nd put Arredondo on administrative leave, and community members, including the victim's family, have been calling for his firing. That wasn't possible earlier for procedural reasons, school district leaders have said. I want to pause on that for just a moment. They literally said it wasn't possible due to procedural reasons. When does it become impossible to fire somebody? I want you to think about what they're feeding the community and what they say typically about police officers, especially those that are union protected. They will say, well, based on procedure, we cannot fire this person. This is not a Supreme Court justice, okay? This is a regular ass employee of a local city government. That's all it is. So you mean to tell me that there are reasons that you can literally not fire somebody who has failed so horribly at their jobs that children are dead? You got dead children. You got a person still getting a paycheck from the parents, paid for by the parents of the dead children. This doesn't make sense. This is adverse to common sense. This does not fit any good government protocol. This lacks transparency. They never really explain what the procedural issue is. They never really go into deep detail about this. Typically, they've made some kind of wink and nod deal with the local police union, or some agreement has been made behind closed doors. But the bottom line is, there should never be a procedural issue when it comes to firing a person who's freaking horrible at their job, especially in government. There's more. The board on Wednesday unanimously passed a motion to fire this chief without any public discussion. Earlier Wednesday, an attorney for Arredondo released a 17-page statement calling for the police chief to be reinstated with back pay. Arredondo did not attend the meeting, and his attorney, George Hyde, described it as an illegal and unconstitutional public lynching. The statement accused the victim's family of unfairly focusing their grief and anger toward the police chief because the shooter was killed at the scene. So literally, you have the attorney who's making the argument, oh, the only reason why these parents are complaining anyway is because the killer's dead. That's it. Give him his job back pay included. I mean, that's audacity for you. I mean, the police chief admitted that he failed at his job. How did he admit he failed at his job? When he literally said he did not think he was in command. He has then admitted, I utterly failed at my job. You are the commander. You are the chief. You were hired to take leadership, not to avoid it. You co-wrote the protocol for active shooters in your community. And all of a sudden, even though the protocol says you are squarely in charge, all of a sudden you did not know you were. No, none of this adds up. So either A, Mr. Police Chief, you are extremely negligent, or B, you are extremely wrong, period. Just contrary. Either way, you do not deserve that job and you know it. This kind of failure should not get rewarded. So why would anyone think if they're serving in a position like this, they have failed the community, they have failed children, they have failed parents, they have failed teachers, they have failed their fellow colleagues in law enforcement? Why would you ever believe you should deserve this job? You should not. You don't deserve this, Arredondo. You don't deserve this job. You don't deserve this level of responsibility at all, not even close. This decision comes as a recent board meeting, where community members, they did chastise the Uvalde police. So everybody's been on the same page. Democrats, Republicans, the young and the not so young. Everybody is on the same page here. And still, it took 3 months in order to fire a police officer. Wow. Okay, Jackson, thoughts on this?
So yeah, I mean, all this really was them protecting him and waiting it out. And I'd really hate to put you in a bad position, because again, like the mistake that he made, not only are 19 children dead, but everyone who they would have impacted, as you pointed out, but also their families' lives are forever changed. There's absolutely no legitimate reason for them to have not fired him immediately, because what kind of a message does that send to the community that you're supposed to protect, especially right after an incident as horrific that happened went down? You wait 3 months to fire the person who was the head in charge. You're not encouraging people to have faith in you whatsoever. So again, if he wasn't a police officer, then as you said, he would have been just held to account much quicker. But all this was them trying to work stuff out behind the scenes so that we don't want to put you in a bad spot. That's all that was.
Yep, well said, I agree with you.